Joining me now, if he stops talking, Patrick Gorman and Jason Falinski here in the studio.
What if he doesn't stop talking? You'll eject him.
Well, no, that's true.
You are a harsh man.
Now,
what do you have to do? What do you have to do to get kicked off Sky?
Well, we don't have,
sounds like a challenge.
We don't have
Judging by the quality of some of the presenters, a lot.
We don't have language restrictions, but we do on this program, so behave.
Yep.
Now, Angus, is he well done or still rare at the moment?
What, huh? Sorry, what do you mean?
It's a beef joke.
Oh, it's a beef joke.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So you've lost all your vegan viewers at this point. You understand that?
Probably.
Right? Oh, well. You don't seem that concerned.
We'll be okay.
Okay. No, look, I think Angus has, you know, New South Wales Police are going to conduct an investigation. So far, there's absolutely nothing to suggest that he should stand down or he's done anything wrong. I don't quite know why Labor has dedicated so much time, so many questions and so many resources to this ludicrous, it's not even a witch hunt, I don't know what it is.
Would you sign something that had various figures in it without checking?
Me, personally? Well, you know, I probably have. But I think the answer to your question is if we take Labor's...
put your signature on something without checking if it's accurate?
Well, I think you would trust it to be accurate, depending where it's coming from. And if you've downloaded it from the City of Sydney's website, you would trust those figures to be correct. However, I think if we take your proposition on its face, what you're suggesting is that Angus or someone in his team downloaded a document, changed it, and then sent it back to the author. This makes no sense.
What is if a voter comes up to you and says, sum up what's going on here, what's the crime, what is the crime?
The minister, and I think it's nice to call him Angus, but he is a minister of the Crown. He sent a document to the Daily Telegraph saying there has been this ridiculous spend on travel. It was clearly wrong. He took no steps to figure out whether the figures he was using on his ministerial letterhead were accurate. That to me suggests a far sloppier operation across his entire ministerial office. How does that happen?
Well, this is the thing, he says it came from the website.
But Tom, when do we make, I don't agree with you, but when do we make sloppiness a crime?
Well, I'd expect a little better from a minister.
And so you can, and you should ask those questions, and you have.
We have been asking those questions.
But you guys are, Mark Dreyfus is claiming this is a crime. How is it a crime?
If it's been doctored, it is. If Angus Taylor is accurate that it was downloaded off the website, it's not. Would you agree with that? Is that where we're at?
But what the City of Sydney have said is that the document that was sent to them was never on their website.
And
that's why we do need an investigation.
Yeah, but that's the part in the hands of the police. There is an investigation. Yeah. So will you wait until whatever that comes up with,
While there's an investigation being undertaken, though, the appropriate thing would be to stand the minister aside. This is serious. This isn't something that Labor initiated. This
yes,
came
it is
about,
something you initiated.
No, it came about because Minister Taylor wrote a letter, dropped it to the Daily Telegraph. It was clearly based on incorrect information.
But the investigation,
we didn't make him do that.
The investigation has been instigated by Labor, and that's what Mick Fuller said, that the Mark Dreyfus letter did trigger the investigation.
I think it's entirely
also
appropriate.
said, by the way, this is a waste of our... We didn't go that far, but said these things do take up time and resources.
You might want to be careful about quoting...
I don't know. Can we go to the transcript?
You might want to be careful about quoting...
Yeah, I know.
This week, Jason.
This week's not the week to put words in people's mouths.
Speaking of transcripts...
Oh, no.
Should we get the Prime Minister's transcript with Mick Fuller, clear up what was said?
Why? Mick Fuller's come out... But why? What are we...
Transparency.
I thought you guys were also in favour of privacy and that people should be able to have private conversations.
Have you seen the Right to Know campaign, Jason? I think they're pretty clear which side they're on.
That's right. They want to look in everyone's nooks and crannies and see what's...
But this is a conversation that is now the subject of a lot of conjecture. Was there any implication?
Well, conjecture from who?
Well,
from whom? Which one is it?
Whom, I think.
I think it's whom, yes, sorry. As you were saying.
What's the harm in releasing it?
Well, quite a lot, because public officials should be allowed to have dialogue without thinking that, well, this will become public. That changes the manner and form in which people
Okay, but hang on, but both men are saying this is a completely above-board conversation where there was basically nothing really...
So what more do you want to know?
Well,
so you're the Prime Minister
judge that for
and the Police Commissioner of New South Wales
have both told me... But we can judge that for ourselves
Oh, so you don't
see the
take...
transcript.
So whose word are we to take?
I don't take anyone's word.
Not even mine. That's hurtful, Tom.
But what's the harm in releasing the transcript?
Quite a lot, because public officials should be allowed to conduct discussions and make decisions in private. I mean, we don't...
And so they know if they get the next call from the Prime Minister, they can say what they want.
This isn't any...
No, of course they don't say that. That's absurd. You've now taken this from, because you won't release the transcript, the Commissioner of Police in New South Wales is not telling you.
But aren't there some conversations you would assume are private and others you assume could be FOI'd or made public, and wouldn't this be in the public side?
Unless they are in public, no, I assume that they are private within reason.
Is that fair enough?
This isn't a conversation between the Prime Minister and one of his ministers. It's not a conversation between the Prime Minister and the CEO of a private company. This is a conversation between the Prime Minister and the Commissioner of the New South Wales Police Force, where there are serious questions about why he took that course of action, whether that was appropriate. We don't know what was in it. You don't know what was in it. So you're saying it's fine, it was a perfectly above board conversation.
Well, no, I'm not saying that. The Police Commissioner of New South Wales is saying that.
I think it's reasonable in Parliament.
I do want to move on, but will
Oh, really? So we're not going to talk about Mark Dreyfus.
If there's
9 referrals, none of which have come up to anything, that have taken up law enforcement's time over and
using
over
the context of that, if there is no charge laid, will Labor say fair enough and move on?
Well, I think we want to, it's clear that there's not enough information about what actually happened that caused the Minister to write this letter.
That's a pretty direct question.
Yeah.
You'll move on?
Well, as we've said, there's an investigation underway. Let's not prejudge.
I'm not prejudging, but I'm just there's going to be...
You want the Minister to stand down, but you don't want to prejudge the investigation.
As is appropriate while an investigation is ongoing.
And if that investigation says no charges, Labor will move on?
Look, I think there are real questions. This is one way of looking at the, a potential criminal aspect of this.
So you won't move on?
There is also concerns about how the Parliament has been treated by the government, by the
What would
Prime
satisfy
Minister.
Labor?
I think, well, we've been asking all this week for a debate on these matters. We've been asking for the Prime Minister to apologise for some of his unfortunate errors this week.
There's been plenty of debate and words on the matters, haven't there?
Well, there's not been debate. There's been a lot of words from our side and a lot of shutting down.
I'm shutting this down. We're moving on.
Right.
Republic. Now, you skipped out on the PM's drinks
I knew you were going to bring this up.
to go and have a drink with Malcolm Turnbull instead.
That's not what happened. There was a dinner for the Republic, Viva la Australia, and I went to that. And it was a long-standing arrangement, and I was very glad I went. I heard some very interesting speeches, met some interesting...
Where's it going under your government?
Under my government? Well, it's under the government. Look, I think it's probably at this point in time there are issues that are of a higher priority.
That's not the case. That's not a priority at all.
No, I think it's there.
There could be a Republic under Scott Morrison?
I wouldn't put money on it, but yeah, there could be. Anything's possible, Tom.
Anything's possible. There you go. Oh, and I don't know what to ask you about.
I'm getting ready to vote Scott Morrison's referendum to make the Republic
happen. Can we put that headline in our 4 o'clock news? Falinski, anything's possible in a Republic?
Tom,
it's a pretty loose government.
You can. It's a pretty loose government.
Any comment on that?
Look, I think
Why don't you, like Graham Norton, actually serve alcohol for this?
I'd like to. I was about to pay you a compliment.
Oh, sorry, pardon me.
Jason for his work on the Republic. I think it would probably, in the choice of these things, you always could be somewhere else in this building or when you're in Canberra. I didn't attend the event, but I hear it was loved by all that went. The former Prime Minister Turnbull spoke very well. And it's important that we keep advocacy on the Republic, and Jason does a good job of that, and more on his side should do so as well.
There you go, Tom.
All right. Childcare in public schools you want to talk about. So is this just an idea? Do we know it would work? What's the issue we're addressing?
The issue we're addressing is changing our childcare system from being focused around getting parents back into work to being focused around the educational needs of children. We know that brain development happens in the first 1,000 days of a child's life. That's 90% of their brain development happens then. Not their learning, but their brain development. If we invest then, the rewards are huge for our economy, they're huge for our society. I know, and everyone in this place knows, that childcare is too expensive for many working families. It's gone up 28% under this government. 28% increase in childcare costs. And as long as you have rent being the large cost driver in the childcare system, we're going to have a problem. So I'm interested in making our childcare system more
Is there
like
space? A lot of the public schools look sort of jammed full. The ovals are disappearing under portable classrooms and so on. It sounds like a good idea, but is there space for this?
Well,
these
I think
centres?
you'll find in every state and territory, the largest landowner is the government.
All right. What is this, do you think, an area there could be still more government, whether it be funds or other solutions put into it? Because I know there's been focus and more money put in, but when you start doing the maths on the cost, it's exorbitant.
It is very expensive, but Pat's absolutely right. I mean, the first 3 years are critical to child development. Yesterday I had a neuroscientist in for Science Meets Parliament. She was making the point that the last trimester and the first 90 days are absolutely critical for brain development and how everything connects, which has public policy implications around parental leave, and should we actually insist mothers take off the last 3 months of their pregnancy so that you know, they're calm and relaxed as they're bearing their child. Not that I've seen many.
Make them take leave in the last?
Well, we'll give them the option. Absolutely. I'm a liberal. I don't believe in making people do stuff.
Right. But extending paid leave?
That's
government.
Like, these are things, because the implications of, as Pat says, if we don't get this right in the first 1,000 days, and according to the neuroscientists, in the last trimester,
okay, that's interesting.
The implications of it over their lifetime, in terms of cost to the community, are huge.
And the big thing here is a lot of people agree on that, and choice is great, and that should be, I think, father or mother, and that's the problem we've still got. That there's a cultural thing about fathers taking leave off to.
Well, once the child's born.
Yeah.
But one of the things we do know, especially for women, before they enter, puberty. Relationships with their fathers or a father figure are incredibly important for their developmental milestones later in life as well. And for children, for men, it seems to be between the sort of 2 and 7-year-old, when they're learning to wrestle, in particularly with their fathers, and they learn that it's possible to express themselves physically without actually hurting people. So wrestling's a key part of that. So yeah, there's all this stuff is going on that we didn't know about, and I think the implications for public policy, as Pat points out, are and you too, Tom, are just extraordinary, and how we grapple with that will be very hard.
And it might need a lot. Ultimately, the problem is a lot of these things need money in some way. Business already has an impost there slowly factoring in, but it can't pick up the entire tab for these sorts of leave, or what do you think?
No, I think this is actually about a public good. We have free public education, primary and secondary, in this country, because we believe as a country it is good for our general population, and that whoever you are, you somehow benefit from living in a well-educated society. What we just are learning more and more is that the more earlier we invest in that education, the more return we get.
We've waded into a sensible policy discussion.
Yes,
I'm not sure where to go with it. Let's end on.
Let's
See,
fix that.
if you had a bottle of wine here, there'd be, we could go to that.
There's one out there. Just finally,
Maybe next week.
I do want to ask you, Jason Falinski, about China. Julie Bishop has said today it's not racist to target Gladys Liu over any connection she might have with United Front, be it donors, be it groups.
Julie Bishop had a lot of donor relationships that would, in the current climate, be seen as questionable.
Well, you'll have to tell Tom about those.
I'll send Tom.
I do remember.
I'll send Tom the AEC.
You weren't here last term when Matt Keogh stood up and asked this cracker of a question of Julie Bishop about some Chinese donor had set up the world's greatest appreciation.
Julie Bishop Glorious Foundation.
That's the one.
That's
right. Yes, that was very funny.
Just talk amongst yourselves. Any reaction to what she said about Gladys Liu? Because it seems the government's saying, well, we've got to, watch out for this foreign influence, but they're not seemingly extending that to Gladys Liu in the seat Chisholm that China reportedly wanted to take.
Well, allegedly. But I think the key issue here is that none of us, that everyone is subject to the law. The point that the Prime Minister has made and that I'll make is that no one should be suspected just because
it's not
of
just
their background, of their cultural
She said
background.
she wasn't a part of United Front connected groups, and then she said, oh, actually I was. That's not just her background.
No,
and
indeed, the media,
self-audit.
Andrew Bolts, a whole bunch of people have had a look at those connections and questioned her about that, and no one's objected to that.
Well,
You
she
have to
did a
go,
self-audit.
don't
You two.
You're very distracted, I can tell.
Well,
Self-audit.
I've got a rap, as they say.
Is
in
this
the
a hard-
terminology. It's a hard hit. She did a self-audit. You two can do a self-assessment on how you've gone today.
Oh, thank
and
you.
We'll talk soon.
I
Jason
already-
Falinski,
Thanks.
Patrick Gorman coming